This is Comic Support, where we give you upcoming comic book stories for new readers and comic book superfans. In this issue, I've been inspired by Tay's 150 subscriber Q&A and wanted to touch on a few things about myself, reasons I'm passionate about comics, and a couple of things I'm reading right now. Hope you'll join me as we explore the Leon Scorpius origin story. Welcome to Comic Support. I'm Leon Scorpius, and in this issue, we're going to talk about me. But first, I wanted to thank Tay and Taymation Studios for hitting 160 subscribers. As Tay mentioned in his Q&A, we're just a group of friends that are looking for an outlet. And here we are a year later, all because of Tay's hard work, that we've come this far. He's really put a lot into the channel, and I really thank you and all of our friends and viewers that support him and me on this channel. You can catch all of our latest videos on the channel by subscribing and hitting the bell. If you enjoyed this video and other comic support videos, please give me a like and comment below and let me know what comic books you're picking up this week. So as I mentioned, more laid back, different formats. You can see I'm not in the Taymation studio. Because of that, you're going to hear a lot of echoing, so I apologize ahead of time. We're trying to really refine that. Hopefully by this summer I'm going to have a new setup just to help out. But I really wanted to do something more casual and more to the fans and to the friends and viewers, and really give you an idea of what comic sport means to me, what Taymation Studios means to me, and who am I in the first place, right? So let's start there. Who is Leon Scorpius? Leon is my stage name from Rock Band. So my Rock Band days, and when I mean Rock Band, I literally mean Rock Band, the video game. My band was called Stupid O'Clock. I was, I think, like the main male vocalist and bass most of the time, along with Kay. Kay was like the lead female vocalist and did tons of the guitar work. Tay plays drums, by the way, if you're interested and curious, but I do actually have a real music background as well. Played a lot of instruments in high school, middle school, college days, but haven't played a lot since. My entire dad's side of the family is actually all musicians before they had to kind of quit music and work hard and work for the man so that they can raise their family. Speaking of families, I am a product of the 90s, which seems to be a comic support, got it. A common theme amongst comic book superfans. No surprise that I love the X-Men animated series. I know a lot of you also enjoyed the X-Men. Growing up Asian American was a very interesting experience, for sure. We lived in a suburb where I was probably one of 3 Asian kids at my elementary school. So it was no surprise that I really resonated with Marvel's X-Men. I remember picking up X-Men #1 at a swap meet with my father one day. Actually, it's this gatefold that you can see on the screen, and it's not in good shape anymore. I probably read it 100 times, but just reading a team book that was funny, right? Because it's Chris Claremont is very good at that superhero feel, but it's also a soap opera. So having to go through normal human emotions while being different, while being a part of the team, and trying to get along with everyone, and trying to get through life where seemingly everyone hates you. I mean, thankfully I didn't have that rough of a childhood. I certainly was picked on and bullied a lot for being different. I think that a lot of people have different ways that they go through that. For me, it was a lot of escapism. It was a lot of just finding others that had similar interests. I was the kid that, would play pogs or trading cards with other kids that weren't so athletic like myself, or we just had high imagination, so we were the kids playing Power Rangers on the playground, and that helped. It helped a lot. X-Men, Power Rangers, other series where you saw diverse faces getting along. If you remember, like the BK kids from the Burger King commercials, that they were trying to solve and resolve a lot of that in the 90s, which is why it's so surprising to me that diversity is still an issue today, and why I feel X-Men and comic books and storytelling is still as relevant as it is today as it was back in the 1960s when X-Men was created. I picked up comic books whenever I could. So grocery shopping with my mom. They had comic books at the newsstand that you could pick up. So I have a lot of random X-Men comics, a lot of Wolverine comics here and there, just because that's what the grocery store happened to have. Once in a while, after church, my older sister and my mom would take me to comic shops where I could collect the X-Men Fleer Ultra cards, which, if you didn't get to experience the amazing phenomenon that was X-Men Fleer Ultra trading cards in the 90s, definitely get involved this summer. They're going to release a new Fleer Ultra set. I have 2 cards right here that you can see from artist David Nakayama that look so good. I can't wait to get my hands on the real cards. Definitely follow him and other artists to get news on when it's going to be released. I want to say it's in July. I'm definitely going to be asking my comic shop where I can buy like literally boxes of these because these things are amazing and I'm excited. Definitely watched the animated TV series X-Men. They were the best. Really enjoyed it. I actually watched X-Men Evolution too. I thought that was good. And Wolverine and the X-Men is a great animated series too if you haven't caught up with that. In middle school, my older sister helped me get my first pull box. They were mostly X-Men titles, and I read those throughout middle school and high school until I had about time where I had to leave to college. And I remember having to go. I think I went to my shop and picked it up for the last time and had to close my pull box and said, I'm heading to college. I got to go. And I think throughout college, all I read was manga mostly, whether it was picking up manga at the bookstore, at Barnes & Nobles, etc. A couple series that I really enjoyed in the manga and anime universe. But I picked up comic books again after graduating and getting my first full-time job. I figured I had some disposable income now, and I've been actively reading ever since. I have to give a shout out to my local comic book shop, Maximum Comics. They're super inclusive and have been taking care of me for the past few years since I've been back in town. And through them, I've got to meet and get books signed by Brian Michael Bendis. I didn't get to meet Matthew Rosenberg, but he did stop by the shop, and I have some signed copies of Secret Warriors. And super excited someday to meet him, but just a great community, all around great group of comic book lovers. So why comic support? I do have a full-time career outside of my hijinks with Taymation Studios, but since the job in any career can be pretty soul-sucking, just like Tay, I needed an outlet. I needed to focus on things that I enjoy, and I love comic books and I love storytelling. Comics and video games are my vices. I'm definitely not ashamed to admit that they're my addictions, but it's better than drugs and alcohol. I keep out of trouble. My mom never had to have a crazy phone call about me being crazy in college. And I'm fortunate around people that also love games and good stories. My life philosophy, I really feel that entertainment is the future. I think that someone's story today is going to turn into a future movie or Netflix series. And I strongly believe that in a world that's so crazy and a lot of problems to have, there's a huge need for entertainment, because at the end of the day, there is still a lot of hard work that needs to be done, whether it's waiting on tables or taking food orders or what have you. These individuals need entertainment. They need to go home and relax and laugh and have memories with their friends and family. I'm a huge fan of Disneyland and anything Disney. And I just love the escapism. You need to be entertained. Of course, we have full-time jobs. Of course, we're contributing to the world and to the economy in whatever way that we can. But for the rest of the hours, we need something fun to do and something to enjoy. So I do feel entertainment is going to be a huge role and only be bigger in the future. I wanted to support the comic book industry in whatever way I can. Obviously, I spend tons of money on comics. I try to read them and give you reviews and give my recommendations and some backgrounds, so it's easy for you to jump in. But I noticed lately, through trying to get back into the comic book community and trying to support them, whether it's on Twitter or YouTube, I noticed that the comic book community is extremely polarized right now, just like the rest of the world, right? I'm hoping through having more diverse content out there that we can find some more common ground and support some amazing art and storytelling in a more constructive and positive manner. Try to be very friendly and try to be very welcoming to any new people or any new readers that are trying to get into comic books. And if they're searching on Twitter or searching on YouTube, all they're seeing are negative stuff, right? I think that there's enough negativity in the world. Let's have a discussion. Let's have dialogue. Let's have conversation. And more importantly, let me show you all the cool stuff and all of the cool art and stories that are coming up. I definitely feel a lot of these stories from these amazing writers and artists are going to be the next big thing. I've also been inspired by guys like Kevin Smith. If you've been following him, he had a recent health scare. He had some really inspirational words about his experience and what he went through. And I think how important it is to do work that's fulfilling and contributing something positive to the world. A few weeks ago, I myself was seeing a cardiologist, and I had a bunch of heart monitors hooked up to me for a few days, and everyone's giving me looks because I'm so young looking. But the truth is, you never know when it's your time. Work was stressing me out like crazy, just like work stresses you out like crazy, and many of my friends like crazy. We all have tough days, and you know, it makes us wonder and think: are we devoting our time to what matters or what's important, or on the right things? Are we spending our time on what makes us happy? I know that what makes me happy are being around my friends and my family, and my wife and my dogs, and it's a fun time being around them. And so I work hard so that I could have that life and work-life balance. But sometimes you work too hard, and that's where I think comic books and the world comes in to challenge you to think differently, to approach new things. So I've set up some personal goals. Many of them are comic book related. I'm super excited to see how far I can go with some of those projects. And, you know, supporting me on this channel would mean a lot to me and give me some motivation, and also support other like-minded individuals like Tay, who's trying to do the same thing and get out of the grind and really do some fun and exciting things. So that's my backstory, kind of the origin of Leon Scorpius. Last, I'm going to just close up with what have I been reading. There's been a lot of comic book news this week, and one of those news pieces was the fate of Cable. So I have another video to tell you how awesome Cable is by Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler. We found out that their series is going to end with just 5 books, so that they only had 5 books in the run. However, it's all planned. They knew that they were going to take on a book that was ending, so that they have a really concise storyline, and that's why there's such nostalgia and kind of reflection of Cable. But fear not, they have a lot of other projects coming along. I'm reading some of their other independent books as well, so take a look at their other books and other, you know, creator-owned projects if you are supportive of them. And they're also working on some Marvel things. They have a Spider-Man event comic book tie-in coming up. It's called Spider-Geddon. Really interesting. It reminds me a lot of Spider Island, so I'm hoping that it's as cool. Spider-Verse also kind of mixed in there, so that's been great. But issue number 157 was a fun one. They brought back Nate Gray. We haven't seen that guy in a while, so it was really fun to see and get a little deeper into the storyline. My impulse buy of the week is Flavor by Image Comics. So the creative group of Joseph Quintage, Wook Jin Clark, Tamara Bonvillain, and Rich Tommaso. This is a very cool book if you are a culinary or foodie or food lover like myself and Sparky. Just the cover itself is a breath of fresh air. It's a creative tale about a walled-up city where food is the most valuable commodity, and the world building is being compared to a Miyazaki film, and it's very cinematic. I definitely felt like I was reading a Miyazaki, you know, story, or even as if I was in a Disney Pixar movie. Just a really fun read. You have a dog that is like the main character's best friend, and she's got this cool uncle. There's just a lot going on, and I'm very excited. I added it to my pull list already. I also want to touch base on X-Men's Wedding Special featuring Kitty Pryde and Colossus. There was 3 short stories in here, one by Chris Claremont, the other by Mark Guggenheim, and the third by Kelly Thompson. Each one of them had a different perspective. Chris Claremont's story was a reflection on Kitty's history, which I feel is really important. It's been a while. You've seen her as a character in X-Men Gold. She's the leader. She's been the leader of the X-Men for a while now, up into the Astonishing run. And I just felt that it was a great summary of the character and touched base on some of the relationships that we might not have been familiar with in a while. Certainly one of them is with Logan, and how, you know, that as a mentor, he recently died, and of course he's coming back, so we'll find out what's going on there. They touch on her father, who passed away as well. And it's just a really touching story about moving forward. And I think what I loved most about this book, or that story, was the fact that it showed Kitty and Kurt just in a human environment. They're in a bar, so Kitty shows up and she's a bartender. And as a food and beverage guy, I was just like, whoa, this is something that's been missing for a long time. I've missed seeing the X-Men in real life. I missed seeing Kitty and Storm go into, you know, a diner and have milkshakes and just be normal people. And I think that sometimes we get caught up in storytelling and comic book action adventure, that if they're doing normal things, that it's weird, right? And I miss that. And I'm really glad that Chris Claremont kind of brought that back, and you got to see some of that. The other stories were great as well, but they definitely had more action adventure in it and more, you know, fighting and cool moments. The Mark Guggenheim story followed the guys. I love that they explained the whole Las Vegas, you know, going to Las Vegas and also having Damnation going on at the same time. So you do have the Hotel Inferno there. And I was like, thank goodness. I was so confused on how they were in Las Vegas when this whole Doctor Strange event was happening. But they definitely address it, and you see them go into the hotel and beat up a demon that hates the X-Men. So that was definitely fun to watch that and see more of that. But a real fun highlight is actually Kelly Thompson's story, where you actually see the bachelorette party, and you have Kitty. It's really cute, and it's actually very honest, I feel, as both Kitty and Colossus are like, yeah, we got to go through these parties, but we really don't. It's not a big deal to us. We're really more here for our friends, more like this is a thing to do, more like this is a checkbox that they have to tick. And it really shows how much they love and care about each other. And you know, I think at one point Colossus is like, why do I care to do all this stuff when I'm going to get married to the love of my life? And I felt, you know, as a married person myself, that was very heartening to see. And I really like the relationship and exploring this. I think it's really needed in a time where there was just so much event exhaustion with comics, and seeing them just be normal and be human and get to do normal things was cool. But the girls have a party. Kelly Thompson has all the different characters in there. You know, there's tons of characters you haven't seen in a while too, kind of just pop up, and they're there for Kitty. There's a really cool part where she gets a gift from a former frenemy, and I just thought it was very touching and very appropriate. And you know, like Matthew Rosenberg, Kelly Thompson, I feel, gets the X-Men, and it's been really great. So it was really cool seeing the girls' perspective. And I'm calling it right now, Stripperoki needs to be a thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, pick up this wedding special. It was definitely a really fun idea, and I would love to steal it. If I create that, if I was able to make a venue like that, it seems like a ton of fun. But Stripperoki, I'm calling it. It's going to be a real thing. Thank you, Kelly Thompson, for planting that seed in the universe. Last but not least, I want to talk about trade paperbacks. I've been reading a trade paperback of the X-Men, Skidding of Souls. So I like to talk about things that are out and new, but it's also nice to talk about things that are already out and you can go and explore and read. And for me, I loved two things. The X-Men of the 90s, like I mentioned, it was how I got into comics. But you know, recently Colossus has been in the news because of he's getting married. So this had a really good Colossus and Illyana story. And Skidding of Souls also had a lot about Psylocke and how Psylocke became a character. And there's also a soap opera nature to this, and it explores that love triangle between Cyclops, Psylocke, and Jean Grey. And if you've never understood or seen that love triangle or knew it even existed, it exists in this storyline here. So XMen Skinning of Souls graphic novel, definitely pick it up and trade paperback. A lot of cool stories. I'm not completely done with it, but I remember reading, I had bits and pieces, so I might have had 2 issues of the whole thing back when I was growing up, and now I'm going back and reading the whole thing. But that's it for this issue. Let me know what you think about the show. What format do you like best? Let me know on Twitter, @LeonScorpius. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. I really appreciate all your love and support. Keep nerding out with me, and I will see you next issue.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you want to watch more from us, click on one of the thumbnails. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep up to date with our latest shenanigans. Be sure to click the bell for notifications, and check out the description below for a link to our Patreon page. See you next time!